What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below and to episode 8 of the show, guys. Super excited about it. Can't wait to get into this thing. In today's episode of the best gaming related show here on YouTube, we're going to be talking about StarCraft 3, and we're going to be talking about some Gears of War stuff as well as kind of a thank you to the Coalition, which of course are the developers of Gears 5 and just the Gears, the past few Gears of War games that have come out in the franchise. So I'm really excited about it, guys. We got a number of things to talk about, that being like the future of StarCraft as well as the future of Gears of War. And so I'm excited to get into those things here today. So Cyril, guys. A guy known as Cyril has absolutely taken over the landscape of StarCraft 2 as far as from a competitive standpoint. This is a guy who has won, countless amounts of championships at this point. And when I say championships, I really just mean tournaments in general. Now, the big one, of course, the Super Bowl of StarCraft is BlizzCon, and he has won one of those. And then, of course, Home Story Cup just concluded not too long ago, and he ended up winning that tournament against Raynor, which was a really great tournament, guys. It's some of the best StarCraft that you'll see all year. I mean, you know, it's sometimes even better than some of the bigger tournaments throughout the course of the year. But I will say this. Cyril is on the pursuit right now of reclaiming the throne. And when I say that, guys, what I mean by it is, simply put, Cyril, who is an absolute force to be reckoned with in StarCraft, as far as from the pro at the highest level of StarCraft 2, he of course came up short in BlizzCon 2019, and I think that is a obvious thing. He came up short, lost to Raynor, who seems to be maybe Cyril's Achilles heel when it comes to tournaments. Cyril may be able to get through pretty much anybody except for Raynor. I mean, obviously we don't have a lot of proof there, as far as, you know, that being true, right? But what I will say is this. Cyril is on the pursuit right now to reclaim the throne that has been taken from him, and of course has been claimed by none other than Dark. Now, guys, I've made, you know, a number of videos talking about the greatest StarCraft 2 players of all time. I gave everyone my personal opinion. You guys can check that out on the YouTube channel. But that being said, guys, I have always said that Life was the greatest. Cyril comes along, and this is a guy who, of course, has really taken the StarCraft 2 pro scene by storm. And obviously, I feel, and I said this before BlizzCon 2019, I said that if Cyril wins BlizzCon 2019, he will be alone as far as the greatest of all time. Because really, no one has won 2 BlizzCons up to this point in StarCraft 2. There is a guy, though, that we were forgetting about. A guy who really wanted to remind everyone just how good he still is, and that is Dark. Dark came along, guys. I mean, this is a guy who's been in the StarCraft 2 pro scene for a long time. And what he ended up doing was he has made it to 2 BlizzCon finals at this point now. He won one and he lost one. I believe the first one he lost to Beyond. I think it was Beyond. Maybe I'm wrong, but I almost remember I thought it was Beyond. And then, of course, more recently, of course, 2019 BlizzCon, he steamrolls everyone, and has taken the throne away from Cyril. Now, Cyril, as we just mentioned, won Home Story Cup against Raynor. Now, Dark did not attend Home Story Cup. But I believe that this might be a revenge tour for Cyril, because Cyril, of course, that Achilles heel that we were just mentioning being Raynor, he loses at BlizzCon 2019, and then he wins against Raynor in the final at Home Story Cup. Which, of course, guys, I want to say this really quick. Take TV, of course, the ones who put on Home Story Cup, did an absolutely incredible job. I want to give a big congratulations to them on a huge job well done when it came to Home Story Cup. Hope they continue doing that in the future. Absolutely one of the best tournaments of the year. And it just seems like, the StarCraft community, what's so great about the StarCraft community is the StarCraft community puts their money where their mouth is. And, they really show support for their favorite streamers, their favorite, content creators, as well as their favorite, organizers of these amazing tournaments. And, Home Story Cup is no different there. But that being put aside, Cyril wins Home Story Cup against Raynor and is now in 2020 going to be on what I believe is going to be that revenge tour. But this is where it's going to get interesting. There's going to be a guy who's going to have something to say about that. His name is Dark. And once again, guys, I'm going to say right now that Dark is going to be on a prove it year once again. Prove that you're still the best in the world. Because he did it at BlizzCon, and there was no debate about it. Some people are saying that if Cyril went to the grand final against Dark, he would have beaten Dark. I disagree. I think that even though Cyril's Achilles heel, as far as what we were saying with Raynor, even though I think that that's been actually proven false because he just beat Raynor at Home Story Cup, we're going to need more history, I guess you could say, between those two to really say, is this Cyril's Achilles heel? Is this Raynor's Achilles heel? That being said, though, I don't believe Cyril would have beaten Dark. Dark was on a mission and was not just beating opponents. He was steamrolling opponents. And he had so much momentum going. Now, we could always say, we could go back to, BlizzCon 2019 was done in 1 day instead of 3 days or 2 days or whatever. And so these guys, had to play so many games in 1 day. And so it's basically whoever has the hot hand or the hot hands, kind of like a goalie in hockey. When a goalie in hockey gets hot, sometimes it's very, very hard to beat them, especially like in the playoffs. It's all about the goalie and which goalie gets hot in the playoffs. So it's kind of similar to that. It's, who's got the hot hand that day, because it was all in 1 day. And it seemed that Dark certainly had the StarCraft gods with him throughout the course of that tournament. But that being said, Dark right now, hearing all that noise, that he might not be that guy no more. He's probably not going to make it to another BlizzCon final. He's not, he might not win a lot of tournaments anymore because he's starting to get, he's been in the StarCraft scene for a long time, the StarCraft 2 scene in particular. And all eyes are on Cyril. Everyone's talking about Cyril. Everyone's talking about the new guy, the young gun, as in Raynor. But I do think that Dark is on a mission. He proved to everyone that he still got it. And I think now, in 2020, it's going to be his prove-it year. It's going to be Cyril's year where he tries to reclaim the throne. And I wouldn't be surprised if BlizzCon 2020 came down to Cyril and Dark. And wow, would that be an intense matchup. It would be the battle for GOAT status. It would be the narrative that I think a lot of people would want to see. I know people want to see Cyril and Raynor. I want to see Cyril and Dark. Because whoever gets to 2 championships, as in the form of BlizzCon, 2 of the biggest event, because that is the Super Bowl. And what it comes down to is that it's going to come down to BlizzCon wins. It's going to come down to you are proving at the biggest stage on the most, complicated, complex, and, all the pressure in the world on you at BlizzCon 2020, who's going to get there first? Because right now, in my eyes, we've got a 3-way tie. You've got Life, who I believe his legacy has been tarnished because of the match-fixing scandal, but nonetheless, that doesn't take away from him being an absolutely incredible player. You have Cyril, who was this guy who came out of nowhere and starts to significantly take the StarCraft 2 pro scene by storm. And then we've got this guy lingering around, who's been around, winning championship, here or there, making it to a BlizzCon final, not winning, But then this past year, he did that. And that is Dark. You have 3 guys who are on that, 2 of them technically, because Life isn't allowed to play anymore. You have 2 guys on the pursuit to become the greatest of all time in StarCraft 2. Who's going to get there, guys? I'll tell you what. I believe Cyril's absolutely incredible. I mean, I believe that this guy could very well become the greatest ever. But lo and behold, we have forgotten almost about Dark. He's been a guy he's been there. He's kind of like Classic, or he's like, some of these other guys who have been kind of in the scene for a little while now. But you don't really think of them as like, oh yeah, they're going to be like the greatest ever. Dark has won championships. He's won these GSL, the GSL Code S. He's won, a number of tournaments. And on top of that now, all he needed to really add to his resume was that BlizzCon, and he did that. Now, we can debate forever whether, it was all done in one day, it was different, things of that line. But if he does it again, if he did it again, no matter what the formatting is, the players know what that format's going to be before BlizzCon. They know. Okay, it's going to be 2 days. It's going to be 3 days. It's going to be 1 day. They know what it's going to be. It's up to you mentally to prepare for that, regardless of the circumstances. The Super Bowl isn't done in a few days. It's done in 1 day. You need to be mentally prepared for what is coming. Dark was prepared, and he proved to everyone that he is the best right now in the world. Cyril's on the pursuit to reclaim the throne. Raynor is going to be right in the mix. Dark said in his interview after winning BlizzCon that he wanted to play Cyril. He wanted to prove to everyone that he is the greatest in the world right now. And I believe he would have beat him. I really do. It might have been a little bit longer of a series, but Dark would have won that. Make no mistake about it, he would have won. And obviously that's my opinion, guys. We're not trying to be a prophet here, but I do not believe that Cyril would have overcame the absolute force that was Dark at BlizzCon 2019. The narratives are out there. It's building. Can Cyril reclaim the throne? And I'm not talking about just, WCS Valencia or IEM Katowice. I'm talking the big one. That moment where you are able to prove to everyone that you are the best in the world. But this isn't just for best in the world. This is for greatest of all time. This is for GOAT status, which Cyril has gotten to that point. He's earned it. Dark has now gotten to that point. Life's legacy is cemented, even though I believe it is tarnished because of the match-fixing scandal. We have 2 guys that are still playing today. We have to enjoy these moments, guys. Enjoy them. Take it in. We're watching 2 of the greatest to ever play StarCraft 2. Played at the highest level. Dark has been consistent throughout his career. Sometimes he's come up short at BlizzCon. He didn't come up short this past year. Cyril came up short of those expectations. He hit a wall with Raynor. But now the stage is going to be set for 2020. Who do you got? You got Cyril, you got Dark. I feel part of me's got Cyril because he's kind of, he's younger. He hasn't been in the, the pro scene as long as Dark, but Dark's got that experience. And when that experience comes in, that clutch mentality, that absolute, being there, doing that, even though Cyril's done it, he's done it at a young, being kind of, young in the StarCraft scene. The Korean versus the Finland phenom. Dark and Cyril is what I think we're going to want to see. I know I want to see it. What do you guys think about it, guys? The race for the StarCraft 2 GOAT. The pursuit of the throne. Dark's on it right now. Is Cyril going to get it? Is Dark going to continue that hellacious power that he showed at BlizzCon 2019, or is someone else going to be taking the throne, like Raynor? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. So we're going to switch gears here to Gears of War and some way too early wish list and predictions on Gears 6. So guys, Gears 5 hasn't been out that long, you know, only a few months at this point. And I'm already looking forward to what's to come. In Gears 5, of course, you know, because this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I've said this on a number of occasions. The big three to me is Gears of War, Call of Duty, and StarCraft. So one of my favorite games and franchises of all time. Gears 5, guys, has had, you know, shaky launch, right? Had a shaky launch. But I think they're right in the ship, in that right direction. Operation 2. Who knows, what the future is going to look like as far as the operations are concerned and all of that. So we're a few years away, right? Most likely from Gears 6, which has been confirmed, as well as Gears 7. Both have been confirmed. Even a Gears of War movie has been confirmed. But what I want to go through is, kind of my wish list for Gears 6. And kind of some of my early predictions that I, kind of just want to share with all of you. And I'd love to get your feedback on it. And I'm not really going to talk so much about, the meta or, things of that nature for Gears 6. I'm going to talk about more so the story, as well as kind of what I'd like to see from the pro scene, as far as that's concerned, as well as content creators, streamers, and just the community in general of Gears of War. So my early wish list would be, guys, in Gears 6, would be that at this point, I would really like to see us play as Kate Diaz in the story, but I'd also like to see it kind of switch around a little bit. I'd like to play Marcus Phoenix, of course, once again. I'd like to play JD Phoenix as well. Do I want to play as Kate Diaz? Of course. But I'd like to switch between characters at this point. I miss playing Marcus in the franchise. I miss playing even JD from Gears 4. I like Kate Diaz. She is an absolute badass, one of the best female characters I have ever seen in a video game, because of just how, her voice acting is incredible. Her story arcs were really good in Gears 5. She's a badass. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. She goes toe-to-toe with, the Locust Horde in this story, even though she's battling those inner demons inside of her mind. But I'd like to see kind of the love spread around a little bit between herself as well as JD and Marcus. Because I was really skeptical about moving into Gears 4, moving away from Marcus. It was kind of like, I understood it to a degree, because it was like, okay, Marcus is passing those reins on to JD. Marcus is getting older. But I'd like to see that one last hoorah with Marcus. As far as JD's concerned, I was getting used to playing as JD near the end of Gears 4, and I was like, I actually like playing as JD. I really like him. I like his character, all those things. I think that, he's going to have dark days ahead, which he does. Gears 5, we definitely can see that. But I thought they kind of, if they would have switched it around between JD and Kate in Gears 5, I would have liked that. I would have liked playing Marcus as well. Marcus is one of my favorite video game characters of all time. Gears of War is one of the reasons I really got into, just gaming in general and content creation. It opened my mind to so much creativity. The endless possibilities of what video games have to offer. So, I would like to see the love spread, okay, between a few different characters. Kate Diaz can be the main character. I'm fine with that. But I want to see those inner demons continue, kind of, with Kate. And even JD, even Marcus. I want to see the Locust Horde really start to kind of weigh their, take their toll on all of these characters. Because I think it makes for an intense story. I'd like to see, more characters from the Locust Horde, like more bosses, so to speak. But like bosses like General Rom, and characters like that you have to go up against. One of my predictions would be, I do think that, and I thought this in Gears 5, but that it didn't happen, was that Kate Diaz would become the queen of the Locust Horde. And then you would take the helm back as JD or Marcus, and you would go after the Locust Horde and Kate and try to end it all once and for all. Because we know that Gears, 6 and Gears 7, they've been confirmed. And we're going to talk about that here later. But those have been confirmed. But it's one of those ordeals like, where are they planning on going with the story? And that's kind of something that we just are having to make predictions about in our kind of wish list, right? I'd also like to say that as far as my wish list is concerned with Gears 6, I would like to see, as far as the pro scene is concerned, I would like the pro scene to switch from escalation to execution. And here's why, guys. I love escalation. I think it's one of the more creative game modes actually in all of esports to watch. It's a lot of fun, a lot of strategy involved. But I think there's something about execution. It's kind of like that search and destroy mentality, which is, it's easy to understand, it's easy to follow, and each player only gets one life. And so I think that there would be, some significant strategy involved in that. And so I think that even the best teams in the world, like, for example, right now, Energy, I think that it would be even harder for them to dominate the scene. Maybe not. But I think that there might be other teams that would be able to outslay, even if they're like hot for that game, so to speak. It just creates different elements, and I'd like to just see kind of like a change up. Just see kind of, They even said with Gears 5 they were going to start with that. They started with execution, then they moved over to escalation once again. I would have liked to see execution as far as that's concerned. I would have just liked it. Or maybe even added as a game mode, like so they play some execution as well as escalation. Even that would be fine. I just think it would be kind of cool. But I certainly still love escalation. There's no debate about that. It's my favorite game mode I play on Gears 5 at this point. It's pretty much the main game mode I play between that and execution. So there's that. That's kind of a wish list there for that. I'd like to see, as far as a prediction goes, I would predict that execution will be the game mode that is played in Gears 6. Because I think a lot of people are thinking that Gears 5 released a little bit early. And maybe it did. Maybe it released a little bit early. I'd like to see them take their time with Gears 6, just kind of really flesh everything out. I understand that there's timelines with this, but I just hope that the Coalition, they can take their time with it, release it when it's ready. Don't do it until Gear 6 is ready, or release it until it's ready. Because I want what's best for the franchise, and I'm willing to wait. I would be willing to wait. I think a lot of other people would be willing to wait for Gears 6, because Gears 5 is very fun. I'm not going to lie. I'm enjoying it a ton. Sure, there's little things here and there that I don't, that kind of annoy me about it. But overall, I absolutely love Gears 5. I think we're moving, a step in the right direction continuously from Gears 4 to Gears 5. And I hope that continues with Gears 6. But just take your time. I hope Microsoft lets them take their time with Gears 6. So that's a huge wish list for me. Like, as far as a huge wish for me is, let the Coalition take their time. If that means an extra year, extra 2 years, let them do it. we keep getting operations, added things to Gears 5, I'm totally cool with that. And I think that Microsoft or Xbox, they may have learned that from Gears 5, that they need to just give them a little bit more time. And there's nothing wrong with that. We as a community would be willing to wait for an incredible, incredible product. Even though Gears 5 has that incredible product in it, it's just that some things weren't fully ready when the game launched. That being said, another thing that I wish for is for the community. I want the community to just get behind your favorite creators, your favorite streamers. Get behind those individuals and support them. I'm not saying just me, guys. I'm talking just any of the creators. Shadows, Moo Moo Milk, Landon, or, Domez. I mean, guys, these guys are grinders. They grind. They love this franchise. They love the game, okay? Support those guys. Support any of your favorite creators within Gears. Look, motivate them to continue creating content for you. Watch their content. Watch their streams. Support them. This is a process for all of us. We as a community need to be supporting each other. So, it's our job as creators and streamers to give you more content to watch, to enjoy, more giveaways, more, just more stream time, more videos, so on and so forth. I'm going to do my part, guys, and I've been doing that now on the YouTube channel. I've been trying, the only game I stream is Gears 5 at this point. That's all I stream is Gears. I love Gears of War. It's like I said, one of my favorite games. I want to give you all as much content as possible. And so do these other creators in the scene. And it's up to, the community as a whole to support one another. The pro players, I would love to see them streaming more. I understand that you don't want to show, your strats and such from scrims, whatever the case might be. But that helps build the scene. See, guys, here's the thing. We as a community and the pro players who are, of course, in a category alone in and of themselves. The thing is that the pro players streaming or creating content, what that's doing is it's building out the scene so that it gets bigger and bigger over time, because more eyeballs are going to be on it because the pros are playing and such. And a lot of people love to watch the pros play because they're incredible at the game. First of all, it's helping those pro players. They're able to, make a little extra off of streaming or off of content creation, whether that's on YouTube. And then on top of that, it's building the scene out for the next people who come in, the next pro players that come in. There's so much more than just than just winning tournaments. Sure, that's a big deal because you can win some money and such, and that's awesome. That's a legacy thing. But it's more than that right now because it's not fully built out yet. So let's all do that. Let's all work together to build this scene out to really make it bigger and bigger over time. And that's really important, guys, for Gears of War as a franchise. And we're going to get into, here shortly, like, that Gears 6 and Gears 7 have been confirmed, but there's a number of things that could keep those things from actually seeing the light of day, and we'll talk about that here shortly. But we, guys, as a community, have got to be working together to grow, to help each other, support each other. We got to do those things. And I'm going to be doing my part. I am doing my part. I'm trying to do as much as I can to help build the Gears scene. It's up to all of us to do our part and to support one another and to grow the scene out into something that isn't just a niche game, but is a movement. So StarCraft 3, guys, a game in which I have been preaching on this YouTube channel that I want to see StarCraft 3 for a number of reasons. You guys can watch those videos on the channel, guys. You guys can see exactly why I want to see a StarCraft 3. There's a number of reasons. A StarCraft 3 would be huge for the community. It would almost guarantee us like 10 more years of StarCraft, new graphics, number of different things. A new game, I think it would almost be a fresh start for StarCraft because, StarCraft 2 has had, a shaky past with the match fixing scandal and just a number of different issues, right, that have hurt the scene, the StarCraft 2 scene. So I would love to see a StarCraft 3. Would StarCraft 3 fail, though? That's another question. And if it did come out. Well, Blizzard developers, they want to make StarCraft 3, it sounds like. According to PC Gamer, guys, it sure sounds like StarCraft 2's devs would like to make StarCraft 3. So I think if there's an interest in seeing more RTS games, sending that message to Blizzard would be a wonderful thing. And what have I been saying, guys? Us as a community have to be echoing StarCraft 3 into existence. This article was written by Tyler Wilde. It goes as follows. Speaking to StarCraft 2 production director Tim Morton and lead co-op designer Kevin Dong at BlizzCon earlier today, I had to ask, are you making StarCraft 3? Blizzard announced numbered sequels to two of its biggest series this week after all, so it's not out of the question. Morton's answer didn't suggest that StarCraft 3 is secretly in production, though he could have an excellent poker face, but did suggest that he'd very much like to build it. The best way for us to figure out our future is to hear from players, said Morton. So I think if there's an interest in seeing more RTS games, sending that message to Blizzard would be a wonderful thing. I asked if they were waiting for the right time, then ultimately, the team that works on StarCraft 2 is incredibly passionate about real-time strategy as a genre, said Morton. I can certainly say it's my favorite genre to play, and so far, it's been my favorite genre to work on. Dong agreed, and we talked about the genre a bit. Morton brought up recent independent games in the genre like Tooth and Tail, and they are billions, as well as Microsoft and Relic's work on Age of Empires 4. I actually think there's a great opportunity there in the future, but yeah, we'll just have to see what the future holds, he said. Morton is clearly happy to be working on StarCraft 2, which still has a very dedicated base of both competitive and cooperative players. The cooperative mode is actually StarCraft 2's most popular mode now, he tells me, as it keeps non-competitive players who might have left after the campaign around. I also discussed with Dong how DeepMind AI competitions are causing players to question the meta. There's a long-held tradition of using 16 workers per mineral mine. The AI, however, recently used as many as 21, and players are wondering who's right. But it sure sounds like Morton is up for StarCraft 3 if Blizzard gave it the green light, and it sounds like demonstrating a bigger market for new RTSs is the key to that. We didn't get into what such a sequel would look like, but maybe Diablo 4's new engine could be put to use in that respect. So guys, StarCraft 3. Can we please see a StarCraft 3? And I've been saying it for a while now on this channel. I want to see StarCraft 3 for a number of reasons, but obviously the developers are up for it, but it's all up to us as a community to echo this game into existence if we really want it. And I'll tell you what, guys, I've gotten some backlash on Reddit regarding StarCraft 3, saying, no, we don't need a StarCraft 3. It's okay. They'll ruin the series if they make a StarCraft 3. StarCraft 2 is perfect. Sure, StarCraft 2 is pretty much perfect, but it hasn't had a perfect history. It's had shaky times in its history. To me, I believe that the StarCraft community is concerned and scared, so to speak, of the unknown, which I understand that. I get it totally. But we need to take that plunge, that next move, that next step into the unknown when it comes to StarCraft. Because people thought that when StarCraft 2 was announced that, oh, there's no way it's going to be better than StarCraft. And then it came out and was like, wow, these are really good graphics. Gets unbelievable reviews. People still dedicated to this game, playing it, on a daily basis, a weekly basis, whatever the case might be. StarCraft has one of the most dedicated fan bases I've ever seen in any game, period. StarCraft 3, would it fail though? It might. But guess what? At least we can say, okay, StarCraft 3, it's not better than StarCraft 2. We can go back to StarCraft 2 if you feel that way. Or you can just give it some time and see if maybe it kind of, almost like StarCraft 2, it starts to kind of become a game in which you start playing more and more of, and it kind of, gives you something, a new perspective almost on StarCraft. I just think that, new, I would love to see, of course, the new engine put to the test. Better graphics, maybe a better story, or maybe kind of do a side story in StarCraft 3 instead of, following Jim Raynor. As far as the esports side of it, maybe going team-based instead of, 1v1. Still have those 1v1s because it's basically like the tennis of esports at this point. The most difficult game in the world when it comes to esports. But maybe, just maybe, making it a team-based esport just to see what that's all like. What does the community think about a team-based StarCraft? Could that be big? Could it make the scene huge? I think there's a chance. It could make that esports scene really blow up. Maybe not, but maybe. Why not try it? Why not? Let's just see what Blizzard can come up with. I trust Blizzard. They made 2 great StarCraft games at this point. I want to see the continuation of it, of the story. I want to see the continuation of the narratives around the esports side. I want to bring people back who left because of the issue StarCraft 2 had with the match-fixing scandal. I want to see those advertisers, those, esports teams coming back to StarCraft. I want those back. And I think a fresh start like a StarCraft 3 would do that for this community. I might be wrong, and I'm sure if I am, you're going to let me know. But let's have a real conversation about this. So Gear 6 and Gear 7 have both been confirmed at this point by Rod Ferguson, the studio head over at the Coalition. But there's a but to that, in my opinion. So we're going to say Gear 6 and Gear 7 have been confirmed, but it very well could be canceled if the support of the game isn't there. So let's talk about that a little bit. Gear 6 and Gear 7, they've been confirmed by Rod Ferguson as a new trilogy for Gears of War. But if there's no support for Gears of War, or limited support, the player base isn't necessarily growing, it's more so just kind of a number of casual gamers that'll get on there and play. Obviously, Gears has a very strong community, but it's a community at times that complains about everything. And of course, I'm not going to say that the Gears community is the only one. The Call of Duty community and Fortnite community and so on and so forth. But here's the difference. Call of Duty is a massive game that is the best-selling game every single year. Fortnite absolutely took the gaming industry by storm. The complaining is there with those games, but there's such a huge player base that it almost doesn't matter. It matters, but it's one of those things that they can get away with it. Let's put it that way. With Gears of War as a niche game right now, which we are certainly going to be trying to get that narrative turned around here in the future for Gears of War. Right now, it's known as a niche game. And when you are a niche game and there's a lot of complaining and a lot of, yelling on Twitter or, through whatever social media platform at the coalition, those are things that are demoralizing to a developer. The coalition, guys, has done something for us that is unlike... I mean, let me put it to you like this. The coalition resurrected a franchise that was in limbo. It was in limbo, guys. Epic Games wasn't doing anything with Gears of War, and if Epic Games still owned it, probably still wouldn't have really much going on with it, because Fortnite is their focal point. The coalition did something for this community that I think is going very much so under the radar to people in the community. Whether that be casual players, pro players, whatever. They put together a continuation and a path forward of the franchise. They are the main ones to thank. And we can also, of course, say Xbox and Microsoft, of course, there's no debate about that. But the coalition has created a franchise that has the groundwork of a juggernaut of a franchise. One of the biggest out there. I'm not going to say that it could be, as big as Call of Duty or as big as Fortnite. But it certainly can have its place in esports and in gaming. There's no debate about that. Gear 6 and Gear 7 have been confirmed, but if that complaining continues and people leave the game, the developers are going to see that. The publisher, as in Microsoft, is going to see that. And they may say, well, let's hold off on Gear 6. Yeah, let's not even talk about Gear 7. Because this community, I don't know if they're just complaining about everything. And it's, of course, it's like human nature, right? If something's wrong with the game, you want to talk about it, right? But I think there's a way in which we can do those things. Sometimes I feel that people don't think that the developers are listening. And sure, maybe some developers don't. But the coalition is listening. You can just tell by the moves forward that they're making, the changes that they're making, the things that they're trying to do. Some things, guys, they're going to have their hands tied because of the higher-ups at Microsoft. Like the store, for example. Listen to me. Guys, I understand the whole thing with microtransactions. People are very bothered by it. It bothers me as well if they are, deceptive as to, the consumer, like a pay-to-win mentality. But there's nothing like that, right? Obviously, things are overpriced. But guess what? Gears of War is a franchise in which if we want to see the continued production of this franchise, they need to be making money. Okay? Whether that's by selling skins or whatever the case might be. But the operations and things of that nature give us something to grind for. Sure, is it too grindy? Well, obviously, the coalition has certainly heard that as well. Gear 6 and Gear 7 is confirmed, but it's going to go into limbo if we as a community don't come together and talk about these things in a civilized manner as well as with the coalition. We have to have a friendship with them. They are the ones who are creating the games for us, okay? And with this niche community and niche game, we have got to be the ones that are showing our support for the franchise and game that we love. Should we be giving them, backlash on things? Sure. I mean, we can of course give our criticisms. But don't go to the extent of demoralizing the coalition who are working so hard to make these games. I think they're doing a hell of a job. A hell of a job. Period. End of discussion. They are absolutely doing a phenomenal job at creating stories that we're going to remember. They're doing a great job at even just, updating the game. Sure, is it taking some time? Yeah, but this is a process. Understand that process, guys. They're doing things in a timely manner, okay? And with the new operations that are, and the future operations that come out, consistently making the experience better is obviously something that we want. We want something that's going to do that. Make a better experience, make it more enjoyable so that people will grind. But they're obviously listening. Operation 2 included free-for-all. Are there problems with it? Well, look, at least we got it, okay? We got it. And the thing about it is that whether there's problems in future updates, whatever the case might be, they can, of course, fix those things, okay? So I just really want to stress to the community, let's be patient. Talk about these things in a civil manner. Let's talk about these things with the developers. Let's voice our concerns, our criticisms, and our praises of things that they're doing right, wrong, and what they can do better moving forward, because we as a community are not at fault. We as a community need to be creating more content around these games. We need to be the ones streaming more. And like I said, this all comes back to we have to take equal responsibility. The developers can only do so much. As far as the esports scene is concerned, the developers obviously need to do things that are going to help the scene as well. As far as, really promoting the esports scene. But that's a process as well, So I'm just saying, we as a community need to show our support. We need to voice our concerns, but, do it in a civil manner. These are human beings as well working at the coalition, and they brought this game back from the grave. They brought these games, this franchise back from a place of just, complacency, or, a place of nothingness, of limbo. And it's here because of them and Microsoft taking another chance on it. So thank them, guys. Go on Twitter, talk to Node Zero and talk to Rod Ferguson, reach out to those guys. Say thanks, man. Hey, by the way, there's still, some issues here and there, with the game. There are some things that are kind of, bothering me about the game, and, shotguns are too OP right now, or, whatever it might be. Say those things, but also give credit where credit is due. So getting back to StarCraft and StarCraft 3 in particular, I've gotten a lot of backlash, guys. I've gotten some people saying, oh, StarCraft 3 would be awesome. Especially on Reddit, though, and even on Twitter, I've gotten people saying, dude, you're crazy, you're nuts for wanting a StarCraft 3. StarCraft 2 is awesome. I just want to see them continue support of it. I want to see them continue support of the map, creating new maps and, doing this and the third, right? Guys, I'm not going to say that StarCraft 2 is not a good game. It's one of the greatest games ever made, period. But we as a community of StarCraft, we need to be, looking forward to, the unknown at times. And I'll give you kind of an example. So I've been living in my house that I'm currently in for about 3 years. And I'm going to be moving. Me and my family, we're going to be moving in, a couple of months, right? We're kind of closing in on a house and, all of those things. We're planning on keeping this house. We're just going to probably rent it out. And we're going to move. to a little bit of a bigger house, a little bit, more space and such, which is what we need because we're growing out of our house that we're currently in. And that being said, there's this level of uncertainty. I've never rented out a house before in my life. I'm not like, I've always wanted to get into real estate, but there's always that possibility that things could just go wrong, right? I could lose my job. I could, end up not making as much, money one particular year because of whatever. A recession or, something happens, right? You plan as best you can. You prepare. But there are times where you have to take a leap of faith. There's times in which that you have to look into that and stare into the unknown, not knowing what lies on the other side. And sometimes you just got to go and try it, right? You got to go and you got to kind of plunge yourself into it. And sometimes going into the unknown brings out the true you into this world, that true potential that the world, that you have to offer the world. And whether that's just in like your circle of friends, your circle of life, your family, your friends and such, it's one of those things where it gives you that opportunity to stare into the unknown. Am I nervous about it? Sure. Am I worried that maybe it might not be the best decision ever? I mean, sure. But you're never going to know unless you try. So, my StarCraft 2 friends, StarCraft fans in general, let's echo StarCraft 3 into existence. The developers want to make it. They're just waiting for us to say that we want it. Let's echo this game into existence and see what Blizzard, one of the best developers on planet Earth, has to offer with a StarCraft 3. The only way it's going to happen, though, is we got to talk about it. Let's talk about it. And I know there's people that have been talking to me on, Reddit and on Twitter about, I just don't think this is a great idea. Most people just say I'm nuts, or most people say, oh, dude, like, that is a terrible idea. Let's just stick with StarCraft 2, Not that those fans are complacent. It's just that they're concerned about what a StarCraft 3 would have to offer and where would they go with the story? Where would they, And those are all valid questions. But we as a community need to be supportive of moving forward. Because here's the thing. You're taking a risk by going into StarCraft 3, but you're taking a risk not going into StarCraft 3. You want to know how? What if Blizzard and Activision said one day, not probably Blizzard, but most likely Activision, the higher-ups over there said, you know what? StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 2 esports and StarCraft esports in general, not bringing in enough revenues. It's not, it's kind of complacent, kind of stagnant. We're just going to cancel it. We're going to focus on Overwatch. We're going to focus on World of Warcraft. We're going to focus on whatever else. They already did it with Heroes of the Storm. StarCraft isn't that big of a franchise at this point. I mean, it's big, right? It's global, obviously. But does it have the staying power? Can it withstand the test of time? Jeff In Control Robinson said on a number of occasions on the Pylon show, which is a show you guys should definitely check out, but it's definitely a show in which you guys should try to get some answers about StarCraft 3 and the possibilities of it. What I will say is this, though. Jeff In Control Robinson always said that, guys, if you're a content creator, a streamer in the StarCraft space, prepare for the future, prepare for life outside of StarCraft. Because StarCraft is not promised another day. It's certainly not promised another year. God rest his soul. In Control is on point with this. We need to be evolving to other things, or we can go ahead and continue trying to make and echo StarCraft 3 or another StarCraft game into existence. They've been wanting to do stuff with the StarCraft franchise. StarCraft Ghost was canceled, which was first-person shooter. The other StarCraft first-person shooter, which was untitled, was just canceled this year. They want to make StarCraft stuff. So we as a community have got to support that, and we need to be the ones echoing a StarCraft 3 into existence, especially if you want to see the real-time strategy games in general continued and moved onward, which is Blizzard owns the RTS genre at this point. So why not let them continue doing that? Why is it that some of the StarCraft fans and some of my StarCraft friends want or not want a StarCraft 3? Let me know, guys. I truly want to know this. I think it's a huge topic of conversation, or a huge topic that needs to be a conversation piece. Let me know what you guys think. This is a message to the Coalition, the developers of Gears of War, one of my favorite franchises of all time. One of the big three, in my opinion, that being StarCraft, Call of Duty, and Gears of War. I want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for continuing the Gears of War legacy, from resurrecting this franchise from the grave, essentially. Thanks for bringing it back. And, you know, I'm really excited about what the future has to offer with Gears of War, whether we're talking about Gears 5 presently or the future. And I'm excited about that. I think that you guys have done an incredible job. I know there's been, things, shaky things. There's peaks and valleys, but I do really appreciate you guys bringing back one of my favorite franchises. And I know, I think I can speak for a lot of people in the community when I say this, that there may be a lot of criticisms and things of that nature that are coming at you guys over at the Coalition, revolving around just the meta or the store or whatever it might be revolving around the game. Let me tell you this, though, from the bottom of my heart, and I know I can speak for a lot of other creators, streamers, and just casual players that I've played with on this game, that this is a game, as in Gears 5, and I understand, it all kind of started with Ultimate Edition, moved into Gears 4, which was absolutely, I thought was the best multiplayer experience as of yet in the entirety of the Gears franchise. And then we got Gears 5, which I think has immense amounts of potential. Obviously, you have to put more and more time into it, but nonetheless, so much potential with Gears and the future of Gears of War. I'll tell you that I'm going to be doing my part to try to help continue the growth of the scene. I know there's a lot of other guys out there, a lot of other creators and streamers and such, and even pro players that are trying to help build the scene, and casual players as well. I think a big thing that we need to ask you all is, what do you need from us? As a community, what is it that you need from us? Because we consistently are criticizing or consistently, giving our 2 cents about what you're doing right, wrong, and what you can do better moving forward. But what is it that you need from us? I think that it's important that we have an open communication as to what is it that you need to see from creators and streamers and just casual players, other than just playing the game. Obviously, just then, buying things within the store or, trying to support the game. What is it that the Coalition needs from us? Because it's a lot of course, it's about us as a community, because we want to help build the scene. I think together is when we're going to be strongest. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing this narrative around a niche game, a niche franchise. I want to see this as a growing franchise, significantly growing, which I know the numbers of Gears 5 have come out as far as people on Xbox Game Pass and people buying the game. It's doing relatively well. But how can we sort of set the stage for the next number of years until we would get a Gears 6, a Gears 7? What all does the Coalition need from us? So first, a thank you. Next is what all do you need from us? Just continue creating content, continue streaming, continue playing the game, continue supporting us. I think a line of communication is going to be the best way in order for us as a community and you as a developer to move forward, to move past the criticisms, to have that line of communication that I think that we're all going to want, because I think that we all know this as a common goal. The common goal is that we want to help make Gears one of the biggest franchises out there. And even if it's not one of the biggest franchises, really meet its full potential. Because I've said this for a number of years, that Gears of War has always felt one step away from greatness. And I think it's still an incredible franchise. It's one of the greatest franchises in my opinion. But I felt that there's always something holding it back, whether it's the community or just things that are wrong with the game. Whatever it might be, I think that there needs to be more of a union, more of a connection where there's that line of communication. And I find that that's really something that might be important or beneficial, but I might be right. And I'm sure if I'm wrong, a lot of you are going to tell me, whether you're from the coalition, whether you are just a community member, whether you are a casual player, a pro player, streamer, content creator. Let me know what you guys think. But once again, thank you, coalition. Keep doing what you do. We're going to do our part in supporting you. Whether we show it or not, I think from this point onward, we need to be showing it, and at least having that line of communication is extremely important. But thank you guys for creating and bringing back one of my favorite franchises of all time. And let's grow this scene together. Let's continue to support each other, and let's grow it out. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of the 8 Below Show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.